Hello dear students, welcome back to the English session of 8th standard with the poem 3.4 Leisure Part 2nd. In the previous part we have seen about the writer's information as well as some of the stanzas of this related poem. Today we will continue with this same poem with further stanzas. Through the previous class we have seen this is the poem Leisure. The writer wants to tell us that the life is useless unless we can spare same time from our busy schedule in this life to enjoy the beauties of nature. This is a short message is given by the writer. And we also have seen the two stanzas of this poem in the previous class. The poet says, that means W.H. Davis says that asking the questions, the type of life we are leading, if we have no time to appreciate the beauties of the nature. He also says that we have no time to stand beneath the trees and stare the beauty around. Also we cannot stare the sheep and cows, what do they do? And when we are going with this kind of miserable life which we cannot even understand, so the writer suggests here within these two stanzas to go and involve in the nature itself. So here we can see the next stanzas of this poem Leisure. Let's go and learn what the stanzas talk about. Here the next stanza will no time to see where woods we pass, where squirrels hide their nuts in grass. No time to see in broad daylight, streets full of stars like skies at night. Through these lines we can understand that the writer W.H. Davis wants to say here that we don't have time to see when we pass the woods. That means the writer says here, when we are walking through the woods, we have no time to see, or we have no time to watch when the squirrels hides their foods in the grass. That means here the writer says that even though we never notice the natural object and the natural things, that where the squirrel hides their nuts in the grass, even though we don't know. Also the writer says, no time to see in the broad daylight, streams full of stars like skies at night. The writer says here, we have no time to look at streams which sparkles, shines and twinkles in broad daylight, and it appears to be full of stars like the skies at night. And when these beautified objects we couldn't notice even the daylight during the daytime and the sparkling, the shining or twinkling of the stars in the sky at night, we missed this beautiful scenery through the time as we are busy in our day-to-day life. Then the writer describes the next two lines, that is, no time to turn at beauty's glance and watch her feet how they can dance. Through this line, writer or the poet wants to say here, we have no time to watch or we have no time to see when a beautiful girl, that means a young girl, dances. That means here we can say the beauty's glance means here we can also say that the beauty is a nature. So when the natural movements are happening through it, we miss to see. We don't have time to go and enjoy that natural movements of the nature, the beauty of the nature. That's what the writer is suggesting here to us as a reader. We don't have time to spare and see the beauty of nature, the bounty of the nature. That means we cannot appreciate, we cannot enjoy the beauty of nature as we are engaged, as we are deeply engrossed in our busy schedules. And here also we can see the writer says here with the lament, the grief, the writer describes here of human being that though the animals can enjoy the natural beauty of the nature, human being cannot. And this is the grief of the writer over here. So in this way we have seen about the poem. That means the writer, the poet W.H. Davies questions the type of life we are living as a human being, which includes that time. The time we go with, but we cannot recognize, we cannot even pay attention towards the natural beauty. And we have no time to appreciate the beauties of nature. And also, he says that we have no time to stand under the branches of the trees and see what goes around. Also, the writer, when he says that when the human being walks through or walking through the woods that we passed, but we cannot see where the squirrel has been hide their food in the grass. The writer also says that we have no time to look or see at strings which are sparkling and twinkling during the night time as well as the broad daylight. And the next writer says, when we cannot observe the nature and its natural elements through it, so as the poet, the first question arises, as a human being we don't have time to go enjoy the beauty of nature. Here he has given one of the example of a beautiful young girl. That means the beauty's glance. Here beauty's glance means a girl as well as the nature. That means when we cannot see the dance of a beautiful girl, young girl, in the same manner we cannot see the movements in the nature. And that is the grief of the writer over here. That means the writer says that as a human being we cannot appreciate, we cannot enjoy the beauty of nature. Even the nature repeats its beauty as representing with the human beings, but as a being we cannot notice the beauty. So dear students, next stanza we can see, that is, no time to wait till her mouth can enrich that smile her eyes began. A poor life this, if full of care, we have no time to stand and stare. In this stanza, the writer, that means the poet, wants to say that as we couldn't wait to complete the smile of the young girl, and as she started to laugh within her eyes, that means we couldn't wait for her lips to complete the smile which started in her eyes. And here we can also say that the beauty that means the nature. The girl, that means nature. And we have no time to see around us there are the trees which they swing. The breeze we couldn't notice, or the flowers they are blooming very slowly, gently. And that is the gift of the nature to the human beings that we avoid further. And that's what the writer is very worried about, the situation that we avoid. And in this way, he concludes the lines. What he concludes? A poor life is if, full of care, we have no time to stand and stare. In concluding lines, what did he say? That he says, or he repeats, that our life is so poor. Our life is so poor life if it is full of cares, worries, anxiety, problems and tension. And that's what we don't have time to appreciate the beauty, as well as we couldn't enjoy the beauty of nature. This is what the writer mentioned through this poem. Hope so you have understood the summary of the poem. Now let's see the figure of speeches which are used through this poem. So dear students, let's see what figure of speeches are used through this poem. So here you can see some of the lines that are: what is this life if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare. In this line you can see interrogation, this figure of speech is used. So here interrogation, this figure of speech is used, as well as you can see the alliteration, this figure of speech. So yes, that means sir sound is repeated, as well as t and t, this sound is also repeated. That's what the consonant sound t, s is repeated through this line. So alliteration. And overall two lines, that what is this life if full of care, we have no time to stand and stare. Here the writer is questioning about a type of life. That's what here interrogation. Next line we can see the simile. The line, particular line you can see here, and stare as long as, here as long as sheep or cows. In this line we can see simile. Again in the next line we can see the simile which is mentioned here: streams full of stars like skies at night. In this line also we can see the simile, as well as we can find here alliteration, this figure of speech also. That means stream, the consonant sound s, the s sound is repeated, s sound is repeated, s sound is repeated. That means streams, stars and skies. That's what alliteration, this figure of speech is found here. In the next line we can see the metaphor. Okay, the line is presented here: no time to turn at beauty's glance. Beauty's glance. In this line we can find metaphor, this figure of speech. Okay, then enrich that smile, her eyes began. In this line also we can see the metaphor. But again one more figure of speech you can find in the second line, that is enrich that smile. Okay, personification we can find here through this line. So here in the last line we can say enrich that smile, her eyes began. Metaphor as well as personification, this figure of speech is found. So in this way we have seen about the figure of speeches are used through the poem by the writer. Hope so you have understood this poem, and thank you for watching this video.